Hi everyone, this is Sean. Welcome back to my channel. Please press the thumbs up button, subscribe, share, comment. I am always looking forward to the dialogue, always looking forward to reading the comments. Thank you everybody. I appreciate you so much. I am so blessed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today's video comes from an old email request about 5 to 6 months ago. I got an email from one of our subscribers that goes by the name of Slender. Slender works on a Native American reservation. He works security, and he wanted to know what PL 280 is. What is Public Law 280? Does that give private security? Does that give them law enforcement powers? What is it? Can you describe a little bit more? And I'm going to do that today. Now, guys, I am going to be mixing up the term Native American, Indian, and tribal. And that's my own ignorance, and please forgive me on that. I will note, though, that the federal government defines our Native Americans, the Americans who were here first, they classify them as Indians, as if they're from India. That's not even the proper terminology. They need to change that term. It's so misleading. So I'm going to try my best not to use the word Indian. Okay. So what is PL 280? Guys, PL 280 is basically a law that was passed in the 1950s. And it affects 5 or 6 states, and California is one of them. And basically what it did is it gave jurisdiction, it took away jurisdiction from the federal government and gave it to the state government. So there's a whole list of specific crimes that are just for Native American reservations. If you commit this type of crime, that type of crime, I don't know exactly what it is, then historically in the 1950s, before this law was passed, the FBI would take over. So now when there is any breach of those laws, the FBI doesn't take over anymore. Now the state government takes over. So it would be the local police department. And the local police department would forward the case to the prosecutor's office for criminal prosecution. So that's what it did. This law has nothing to do with the Self-Determination Act of 1975. And what the Act of 1975 essentially did is it reconfirmed a tribe's authority to create their own police department. And what it also allows, well, what it reconfirms is that security on Native American reservations, as long as it's agreed upon by the council, they can exercise law enforcement authority. So what that means is they can detain persons suspected of committing crimes within the Native American reservation. They can make arrests as well. So if the offender happens to be a tribal member, that security agency on that reservation or that tribal police can hold that person and have them answer in tribal court. If the offender is not a Native American, then the Self-Determination Act of 1975 allows transfer of custody to a law enforcement agency. That'd be your local sheriff's department or local police department, or maybe even a state agency. That's all it does. In another way, if you're security and there is a non-Native American who commits a crime, basically you can't hold that person into tribal court. You would transfer custody to the law enforcement agency that has jurisdiction in the area. The Self-Determination Act of 1975 allows tribes to create their own police departments. So if they want to create a security department with police powers, they can do that. They can create their own tribal police. I work tribal police. I'm not going to say where I work tribal police. If you want to know more about my career, connect on me with LinkedIn. That's where you find all the information about me. I worked there for about 5 to 6 months, maybe 5 months. In 2000, right after the police academy, I worked tribal police. It was sometime around 2002. And it was pretty neat. It was pretty fun. I had more training as a tribal police officer than as an actual police officer. I worked for a professional department. The majority of those who are in leadership positions, they came from the law enforcement ranks. And the pay there was actually pretty good. I got about 10 to 15% less than what a law enforcement officer in a similar capacity would get. I took that job because I was getting problems hired as a police officer. But the tribal police department, they gave me a second chance, or a first chance, whatever you want to call it. And it's just a lot more easier to get hired in there. But the pay was very similar. Even lieutenant pay, captain pay, that's very similar to the local law enforcement agencies. You can make actually a decent living being a tribal police officer. So once I left, that agency started transitioning back to a security organization, and it just got a lot of people upset. Previously, we would call people in, we would detain people, call it in if they had a warrant or not, and then the local law enforcement agency would assist and take custody of that prisoner. We had an evidence room, we had a little detention area that we kept our prisoners, but it was pretty neat. It functioned just like a real police department. We had red and blue lights, we had the sirens. We're able to use all that equipment and all that authority while you're on a reservation. The tribe did have off-reservation land. Unfortunately, you can't use that authority, the authority to detain. You couldn't use that off the reservation, so that's the issue. So, hey guys, just in summary, as a security officer, you get as much authority as the tribe issues to you. Okay, you got to look at their formation documents, look at your policy that was signed by the tribal members, and see what authority you have. That tribe is able to give you full law enforcement authority on that reservation, whether you're a private security officer or whether you are a police officer. I'm sorry, yeah, tribal police officer. You get full authority. The greatest extent of authority is the ability to detain. In California, and I also learned in Nevada, you can't just detain anybody. If you have reasonable cause to believe that that a crime happened, reasonable suspicion to believe that a crime occurred. Traditionally, as a private security officer that's not on a reservation, you can't make, in most circumstances, you can't make a detention for something like that. But as a tribal police officer or as a tribal security officer, you can detain. What that also means is that you can release that person. If you can't find enough evidence to justify an arrest, you could release that person, and there's no liability. Now, I just said the word liability. I'm not an attorney. This is just my own personal opinion. Also, it's my understanding that tribes can opt in on a lawsuit or opt out. If you want to sue the tribe, it's up to the tribe if they want to accept the lawsuit or not. Just like the federal government, actually. If you sue the federal government has ability to accept your claim or not accept a responsibility. Now, it's always good PR, it's good politics to accept liability. So that's all I got, guys. That's Public Law 280, and I'll leave a link in the description box below. Remember, PL 280 is not your special law enforcement authority. It just gives it gives state authorities the ability to investigate certain crimes that occur on tribal lands, and it basically took away the federal responsibility of investigating these types of crimes. That's all I have. If you guys have any questions or any comments, let me know. And let me know if you actually work at a casino or any reservation. Looking forward to the conversation. Take care.